I've gotten asked over the years to do various tier lists for Elder Scrolls Online. I figured now would be a good time. This is my tier list for ESO PvP and will be for Update 32 Deadlands patch, which will be coming in November of 2021. This list is based on my experience playing every single class, Stamina, Magica, all of them, even most of them as tanks, healers, solo, group, in Cyrodiil, Imperial City, and Battlegrounds. Comment below on where I was right and where I was wrong, and let me make my case for the best and worst classes in PvP in the Elder Scrolls Online. So how am I going to judge this? First and foremost, this is not for the 1%ers out there. No, it's not for the 1%ers who spend 18 hours in Cyrodiil a day. You know who you are. No, it's not for the 1%ers who don't even know what weapon swap is. This is for the average Elder Scrolls Online player who has some experience or a lot in Cyrodiil, Battlegrounds, Imperial City, and any aspect of PvP. This is the criteria for which I will be judging and ranking classes. Resource sustain, survivability, raw damage, group utility, ease of play, and floor and ceiling. What I mean by floor and ceiling is if you have a low skill level and you picked up the class, how good would you be? Ceiling means if you have a high skill level, what could you do with the class? I'm also going to be lumping stamina, magic, healer, group, solo, tank, DPS, you get it. I'm going to lump it all into one video. Otherwise, I'd have to do about 20 of these. So without further ado, the first class in the bottom of the list is up, and that's the Warden. Well, someone had to be at the bottom, and that's the Warden. Deltia, you play the Warden, you love it. Yes, this is true, but it lacks in a lot of areas the other classes excel at, and frankly has very little offer beyond buffs, which is why PvE folks love bringing a Warden into the trial. Let me explain. The Warden build for both Stamina and Magica damage relies heavily on procs to do the job, whereas a Nightblade or a Templar, for instance, can solely rely on their class skills. Warden was doing great with sets like Hrothgar before the nerf, or Mechanical Acuity, which is going to be nerfed as well, or insert any proc set here. However, without these super hard-hitting proc sets to rely on, you're pigeonholed into waiting for a 500 stack Balorgs and your Deep Fissure / Sub-Assault to hit, cast your spammable, rinse and repeat, and hope someone dies. Also, the Warden relies primarily on max health and the Arctic Blast skill for survivability. Yes, this is great being a damage sponge and being very tanky, but it sacrifices way too much offensive potential, whereas the Dragonite can use corrosive armor, be an unkillable god, and have 100% penetration. Or the Sorcerer can stack one resource, max magic, and do incredibly well offensively and defensively. As a Warden, you have to spend too much of your offensive potential stacking max HP so you can keep up with survivability of other classes, limiting your offensive burst potential. Take a Magdon, for instance, which relies on max magic, Northern Storm Ultimate for burst damage. Yes, a Magdon or a Standem can heal very effectively with 40,000 health, but compare them to a Templar Living Dark skill. Living Dark scales in effectiveness on two fronts, max health or spell damage, making it a go-to survivability for the Templar, whereas Arctic Blast only max health. So an experienced Templar player can run very low HP, very high spell damage, and as long as they're maintaining this buff, which lasts 6 seconds, can be almost unkillable. Warden, you have to sacrifice too much offensive potential in order to do damage. What I feel like on the Warden is, when I stack this HP and I'm very survivable, I'm a damage spawn, basically I'm relegated to killing inexperienced players who run out of resources. If I encounter an opponent on the same skill level me, and they're playing a Dragonite, they're just gonna light me up with damage over time effects, burn through my resources, and I'll have zero way to counter their pressure. Yes, the Netch can cleanse one thing at a time, but compare the Netch to a Templar, where I can cleanse 5 negative effects at a time and cast it over and over. The Netch, just a little measly beasly one. The strength of the Warden is its ease to play out of the box. You can be effective. You also have some good group utility skills and buff, but healing potential, it also falls short. Compare it to a Templar. Yes, the Warden has great buffs for big group play, but the Templar can hold block, spam Breath of Life, and in a massive range have zero aiming required. Boom, someone pops up to full health. Warden, nope, you must aim your heal and are limited to quote-unquote turtling like the Magplar. After some of the proc set changes and nerfs, the Warden feels limited in effectiveness, Stamdom being pigeonholed into 2H dizzying sweet spam, awaiting for your sub to salt to land, and a 500 stack of Battle Orcs. Magden pigeonholed into semi-weird playstyle where Screaming Cliff Racer is your spammable, and you kind of have to come in close for your fissure to land. Are you melee? Are you ranged? The Magden really doesn't know. Either way, I love the Warden in the Elder Scrolls Online, but it just falls short, and you have to ask yourself, what does the Warden actually do better than anyone else on the battlefield? I don't think it's anything. That's why it's at the bottom. Well, what's ahead of that? It's its sibling, which is almost a mirror clone of itself, and that's the Necro. Oh my god, Delty, you ranked the Necro as B tier. Have you ever played PvP? Yes, since beta, and the Necro runs into the exact same problems the Warden does. Limited playstyle, pigeonholed into a boarding 2H main spammable Blast Bones combo that if it doesn't land properly, or if you encounter someone just as tanky as you cannot burst them down and have no way to kill them. Necromancer's strengths are simply this. They can be very tanky without maintaining a lot of buffs just through their passive. It's easier for newer or inexperienced players to feel powerful as a Necro because you can keep up Mortal Coil and Spirit Guardian and feel like a tanky god. But let's be real here. What does the Necro do better than any other class? Burst damage? Nope, that's the Nightblade. Healing and cleansing? Nope, that's the Templar. Dot pressure? Nope, that's the Dragon Knight. Mobility? Nope, that's the Sorcerer. Oh wait, it has to be tankiness. Nope, that's the Dragon Knight with corrosive armor. Take the Mag Crow with the upcoming Dark Convergence and Mechanical Acuity nerf. What will your playstyle be now? Using Harmony traits on jewelry with Vicious Death and your Boneyard? Well, the Magic Nightblade will be better for large-scale bombing now, so literally the one thing you regard tier at is gutted. Necro does have a great passive, Rapid Rot, that can crank up dot pressure, and you can run proc sets like Zons or Vatishran cheesy gear setup. Again, be honest, what does the Necro do better than any other class? Stamdom, Stamcrow have the exact same meta loadout for PvP. Clever Alchemist, Balorgs, Essence Thief, they're mere carbon copies of themselves, with the Necro being a little bit better because of Blacksbone. Though Necro has zero mobility and definitely struggles in that department. Where's the Necro stun? Sure, you have Agony Totem, which takes a second or two to activate, but I can play on a Sork, Streak, undodgeable, massive AoE that hits hard and you can't block it. It's not even close. Group utility? Sure, you have Colossus and that's great, but the effect can be cleansed. In the upcoming Plague Break nerf, getting a massive nerf on the public test server, it's just likely that everyone will put Purge or Cleanse back on their bar, limiting the effectiveness outside a high-intensity keep fight or when people are dogpiling you. I love the Necro and play both styles, but after an hour in, I always come back to the same thing. If I was playing my Dragon Knight, I could have used Fossilize and killed that player. If I was playing my Sork, I could have streaked away. If I was playing my Nightblade, I could have burst them down. If I was playing my Templar, I could have healed through them. It just feels kind of after an hour in every single time. Let's move on, and now we have the A tier. What I put in the A tier is 3 classes, and you could interchange these depending on the ranking. I would not have a problem on it, but this is how I see it, and let me give you a reason why. Nightblade is up first, and this is a staple in A tier or even S tier in some patches PvP. What separates the Nightblade is its ceiling and floor. Putting a Nightblade in the hands of a new player often is the exact same thing I see every day. Bow spamming Wood Elf that gets immediately dunked on every time you pop them out of stealth with a Camel Hunter. Put a Nightblade in the hands of a very good player, you encounter a nearly unstoppable single target killing machine with Cloak, Shade, and what seems like infinite dodge rolls and questionable damage. It's just that. The range of outcomes for the Nightblade is so vast. You have the most burst potential in a short window, which is the major upside. The downside is if someone survives your onslaught, you either die, run away, or wait to do the exact same combo and hope they slip up and make a mistake. Whereas the Dragon Knight can simply melt you down with sustained damage over time pressure and CC, Nightblade has that short window of onslaught. Currently on the public test server, the Nightblade or the Brawler Blade playstyle got a massive buff, making no cloak, Nightblade heal, very strong, dark cloak, and a huge boost to people like me that don't enjoy stealth play. Moreover, Grim Focus recently got changed to give weapon and spell damage rather than crit damage, crit healing, or overall increasing the effectiveness with proc sets, even further allowing for, you guessed it, more burst. So Deltia, why would you put Sorcerer at this phase, number 4 on the tier list? And I would say this, ask yourself, What group utility does the Nightblade have? What does it bring to the group outside of really high burst? To illustrate this point, in the highest ranked MMR, sweatiest, most disgusting battleground matches, do you see Nightblades? Nope. You see plenty of Mag Sorks with the Zookeeper build spamming 15,000 burst heals from Twilight. You've seen a ton of Dragonites running dual wield spinning and winning. And of course you see my Bae, Templar, jabbing people down or holding block spamming Breath of Life. Magic or Stamina Nightblade lacks the group utility that puts them over the top in all situations. Nightblade, in all honesty, is one of my least favorite playstyles in PvP. I truthfully don't enjoy it at all, especially Magblade. However, the class is amazingly strong and in the right hands can be insane in open world PvP and is a staple in the Elder Scrolls Online. Number 3, and the king and queen of mobility, and that's the Sorcerer. The biggest advantage of the Sorcerer is you can stack one resource pool, like magic on a Mag Sork, and be crazy powerful, offensive, defensive. You have raw damage, you have mobility, you have resource sustain, all with stacking one resource, max magic, and those gear sets are very easy to get a hold of. Whereas other classes, specifically the Warden, has to stack tons of HP, reducing their damage potential. As a Sork, nope. One pool, magic on mag build, stam on stam build. You can heals, deeps, everything insanely well at a high level and rely on your mobility for survival. Moreover, your typical Zookeeper pet Sork build running Engine Guardian is just a handful to deal with. You have 3 decoys on the battlefield and nearly impossible to target, all while allowing a very simple bar setup that is effective as a new player or someone very experienced. The Twilight heal is on par with the Templar's Breath of Life because of its scaling. Thus, you have great group utility running a one pet Mag Sork, spamming what I call bird heal, then switching seamlessly to DPS, nuking down everything at range. Moreover, you have the best mobility in the game, Streak. Streak gives you escapability, AoE damage, and AoE stun that cannot be dodged and cannot be blocked. And we haven't even gotten to Crystal Weapons cheese. Remember that talk about the sweatiest battlegrounds? You always, and I mean always, see the exact same Stam Sork setup. Crystal Weapons, Bombard, negate spamming Stork. This playstyle is only effective in group, and wow, is it effective even at the highest levels. Okay, Deltia, we get it. But why did you rank the Sorcerer 3rd and not number 1? The Sork has some limitations, one being your environment and the ability to get away. If you get in close and you get dogpiled, you die. Whereas a Templar or a Dragonite, you can heal or ult through a dogpile, escape, and kill everybody. Moreover, if you encounter someone like a Dragonite who can heal or deal with your damage, you're not likely to kill that player unless they mess up. Whereas a Templar can time Power of the Light, Reverb, Crescent, and Jab and kill nearly anything if it all lands simultaneously. It's the same issue the Nightblade faces. If someone survives your onslaught, most likely you won't kill them unless they make a mistake. But the Sorcerer's ceiling is very high, in my top class for solo players with some great group utility. The floor is also very high, allowing new players to throw in a couple pets and do just fine. And you can compete at the highest level of PvP, and know this: the Sorcerer has been great day 1 in Elder Scrolls Online and has been an A or S tier on every patch. Don't listen to the Sork memes out there. This thing has been good day 1 and is likely to remain unchanged. It's going to be good in the future. Now with only 2 remaining, who's number 2? And that's the Dragonite. Wait, Deltia, you just said in a recent video the Stam DK is going to be meta in the Deadlands. Well, that is true. Sadly, we got some new information, and as soon as I made the video, ZOS decided to lay a significant nerf to Plague Break, now making it kind of another meh set. I will probably swap to Essence Thief and or Burning Spellweave on my Stamina Dragonite, but more on that later. One of the previous major downsides the Dragonite faced was resource sustain. However, ZOS has addressed this with the charge trait change, Dragonite passes, and even more ways to sustain on the DK. The strengths of the Dragonite are this: you have one of the nastiest on-demand stuns in the game, Fossilized. You have great utility with CC. You have great in-class healing with Cauterize, and you can use both resource pools to heal effectively and survive. Another reason the Dragonite is so great is its versatile in playstyles. You can be extremely effective on a Stam DK with 2H, dual wield, sword and shield, and heck, even a bow. Same thing with the Magic Dragonite. You're not pigeonholed in the exact same weapon choice and loadout. Resto, Desto, Sword and Shield, pick 'em, slap 'em on, see what works for you, and you're just as effective. And let's be real here. You have the nastiest ultimate in the game, Corrosive Armor. This gives you the most damage reduction possible with the most damage upside possible, 100% penetration. Moreover, you can build into Ultimate Feeding Machine and permanently live in Corrosive. Minor Heroism Potions, Major Heroism with Daedric Trickery, Bloodspawn, Ultimate Generation, Decisive Trait, Nord Racial Choice, etc. The list goes on and on. Often I pop Corrosive Armor and generate so much ultimate so quickly that I can leap while inside a Corrosive Armor. Not to mention pound for pound, Leap or Take Flight has the best tooltip, the hardest hitting low cost ultimate in the game for burst. So then Deltia, why is DK not number 1? Simply put, the Templar is the one counter to the Dragonite. You can reliably cleanse all the negative effects, the dot pressure off. You can burst down a Dragonite with Power of the Light Crescent combo. And as a Templar, you have the most effective defensive healing ability in the game, Living Dark. Templar lacks the CC that the Dragonite has, but makes up for it in group utility and burst healing potential, making it number 1 S tier. Deltier, you're a homer. You play the Templar main. Well, this is true, and in graduate school I learned to disclose my biases up front, but I'm not writing a master's thesis here. We're doing a PvP tier list. The strengths of the Templar is its rotation or combo is the easiest in the game. Jab, 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 throw a Power of the Light or a Purifying Light, boom, dead. You don't even need to execute. It's what makes it so strong in PvE. Its simplistic nature of the class. Moreover, it has an unquestionable highest floor in the game, meaning for the average player, just stack 40,000 HP, use Sword and Shield and Living Dark, and you can finally not die in 3 seconds in PvP, get those butterflies out, and feel like you're having fun. I'll never forget the time I used Puncturing Sweeps and Bleak Rock Isles on ESO's beta. I hit that ability as my main spammable and noticed it was healing me. Templar Puncturing Sweeps. It's AoE damage. It heals you based off the damage done. It's AoE snare and can proc Burning Light. That's your main spammable. It's the best all-around ability in the game. It's God tier. It's so easy to use. Well, until Sauce watches the video and guts my class for a second time. Not gonna talk about the Templar burial video. Let's move on. Essentially, the Templar can be super aggressive without sacrificing healing potential. If you're an experienced player, you can use Magma Incarnate Monster Set, Olo Backbar, run around 7,000 to 8,000 spell damage with 25,000 health and be nearly impossible to kill solely due to Living Dark and Puncturing Sweeps. The Stamplar is the same thing. Your burst potential is so high with Power of the Light or Purifying Light for magic, rewarding the stacking of spell and weapon damage both for offensive and defensive potential. And group utility? Come on now, the Templar shines in this, giving great off healing, even as a stamina build running Remembrance and Repentance. Crescent Sweep Ultimate is one of the best in the game. Costs as much as an Incapacitating Strike for a Nightblade, yet it's an AoE nuke, which also seems to always be up using Dawn Wrath abilities on cooldown. Vampire is also incredible at stage 3 if you can deal with the resource sustain issues and becoming almost unkillable. Speaking of resource sustain, both morphs of Rune Focus are incredible for magic or stamina, and Repentance, sucking up corpses for stamina, allows me as a Magpar healer to have nearly infinite block with Engine Guardian. Speaking of Engine Guardian, it's the one class that shines with nearly any gear setup combo. Seriously, try any Monster Helm, Magma Incarnate, Engine Guardian, Earthgore, Salines, it doesn't really matter, they're all effective. 5-piece sets? Again, try them. Burning Spellweave, which will now give weapon and spell damage in the next patch. War Maiden, Clever Alchemist, Daedric Trickery, Pariah, Buffer of the Swift. They are so easy to obtain and get. Mythics, run them or don't. Incredible for every single mythic. Death Dealer's Fate, Torque, Wild Hunt, and so on. If you just remove the word Templar and ran down the list of pros, you would agree with me this being S tier. Best burst heal in the game that doesn't require aim, check. Cheapest AoE ultimate nuke, check. Best survivability defensive ability Living Dark, check. Best main spammable that heals you based on damage done, check. Best secondary burst skill Purifying Light and or Power of Light, check. Easiest class to play, Check. That's why I believe now and in the future, Templar is S tier for PvP. But this is YouTube, and I'm sure I'm wrong according to the comments, so leave me one. Let's get a discussion going, and if you like these type of videos, I can keep them coming, so please let me know. I know ESO has had a negative downturn in PvP, but I still love the game and always will, and I appreciate you watching, and eventually will explore other games, but right now I'm still enjoying my time in Elder Scrolls Online. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn alerts on, hit that like. Also consider checking out my Twitch channel where I play these builds live, and you can disagree with me live. Special thanks to my Patreons for sponsoring this video, as it really helps me crank out many more, so consider becoming a Patreon. Thanks for watching.